Well, let's talk more about the situation today in Afghanistan with Tamim Asey. He is the founder and the chief executive of the Institute for War and Peace Studies. He joins us from Kabul. Thanks very much for being on the programme, sir. Do you have any reason to believe this ceasefire will work?
Well, the ceasefire comes as a gesture because the Taliban have been under domestic as well as international pressure since at least a month, because they stepped up their offensive operations all across Afghanistan. And they have been trying to capture at least 7 to 8 provinces because of the announcement of the United States withdrawal. But this is a tactical, political, military move on the part of the Taliban to deflect international as well as domestic pressure. It will be a temporary 3 days ceasefire, which anyways the Taliban during Eid days had a reduction in violence. And then they will use this as an opportunity to further their political legitimacy. But there is no sign of a permanent ceasefire, even though the Afghan government and the Americans, as well as some countries in the region, are pushing for a permanent, comprehensive ceasefire.
Yeah, you say there's no sign of a permanent ceasefire on the cards for the moment. The United States and its coalition partners are expected to withdraw this year. It could be as early as July. Is this then the right time for a troop withdrawal?
Well, if you talk to any military expert, they would tell you that the announcement, the Biden administration announcement, came as a surprise to them. But if it is the right time, no, because violence has been surging and the Taliban are more confident of a military victory, which could plunge Afghanistan into a civil war. But if this particular ceasefire, the 3 days of al-Fitr ceasefire, translates or transforms into a permanent ceasefire, or even blocks or installments of ceasefire, for example, extension by 1 week or about 1 month, then there is chance that it could provide the enabling environment for different conflict parties to seize this opportunity and jump on a meaningful intra-Afghan dialogue, which could lead to a political settlement by different Afghan parties. But a lot of that would depend on a national consensus as well as a regional consensus. Otherwise, they will have a civil war of the Syrian style at their hand with spillover effects over the region.
You think it is likely then that a civil war could be on the cards for Afghanistan if a meaningful ceasefire isn't secured before the American withdrawal? Is that what you're suggesting?
That is a very high possibility if the Afghan parties do not engage and seize this opportunity for a political settlement. If the Taliban, because of their confidence, goes for a military victory, then we have a chance that we will plunge into a proxy regional civil war, the likes of Syria and Libya, where different parties would engage to take over certain parts of the country, and the region would step up and interfere more in the affairs of Afghanistan. So that likelihood is very high if there is not a meaningful intra-Afghan dialogue.
And what needs to be done to stop that from happening then? Should we be hearing more from key neighbours like Pakistan, for example? Should they be trying to do more to try and get this ceasefire to hold?
No, absolutely. As we speak, the Pakistani Chief of Army Staff, General Bajwa, is in town. Also, there are reports that the Chief of Defence Staff of the British, of UK is in town, and they are here to have some high-level discussions with the Afghan government over a new chapter of relationship. Pakistan and Iran, as well as Russia, are the elephants in the room, and they have a very, very important role in terms of convincing the Taliban to come to the negotiation table and agree on a political settlement. So, of course, region has a key and vital role to play, but if they don't play that, they will have a war at their hand with spillover effects in terms of an outflow of refugees and other humanitarian issues, which would be a disaster for them.
Tamim Asey from the Institute of War and Peace Studies in Kabul, thank you very much indeed for your analysis on the programme today.